Are the new Timemore Smart Pro Kettles just a gimmick? Or are they a serious improvement? Do you really need a left hand and a right hand kettle? I don't know, let's find out. Hi, I'm Peter from Coffee Parts, and I must admit, when Timemore first told me about these Pro Kettles, being left hand and right hand kettle, I didn't instantly get it. And then when they sent me the kettles and I opened the box, I was like, why? I always like the look of this smart kettle, the original one, mainly because the handle really matched my house, vain as that is. So when I saw these, I didn't get it. But as soon as I grabbed them and started playing with it, I really did start understanding the ergonomics and the reasoning behind the design. Now, if you asked me only a few weeks ago, I would have said there was no point. But now, I'm a little converted, and let's dive into why. Visually, the biggest difference really are these handles. And when you grab these kettles, what ran through my head was a barista doing 2 pour overs at the same time. Now, that's a lot better than what I can do, but I've seen it done before. And that's when these kettles really clicked in my head, and I really started to understand them. These kettles aren't a replacement to the smart kettle, but more than an extension to the range. I still see the smart kettle being used at home and in cafes. Realistically, in a home environment, not everyone's right-handed or left-handed. So the normal smart kettle makes sense in that it's a very usable kettle. When it comes to a professional level, baristas competing, things like that, that's when these kettles make sense. Much like some baristas have their own tamper that they love that they bring into work, or chefs bring in their knife set, I can see these being the kettle for the barista that they bring in for their particular shift. Moving past the handle, the rest of the unit looks quite familiar, quite similar. And one of the nice familiarities is its weight. The unit weighs around 645 grams. And when we did a comparison video of the top 4 kettles, these were the lightest kettles in the video. And that really makes sense when you're pouring. It is nice that it's putting less strain having to hold up that kettle. On the differences though, between the Smart and the Smart Pro, one of the noticeable differences is on the gooseneck here. You can see the cut across the top is slightly different, and what they've done is actually sped up the flow. Now, with a smart kettle, it's really restricted the flow, so it makes it a lot easier to pour. But this Pro kettle, being obviously focused towards that professional barista, is up to that barista to control the flow. So by allowing you to have a faster flow, you can do more with it, but you have to control it more as well. So that's one noticeable difference between these two kettles. Although the Pro doesn't have the same capacity as the Smart came out in either 600 or 800 ml capacity. 600 being for home, 800 being more focused towards a cafe environment. With the Pro, it's come out in 900 ml capacity because it's really focused on competitions and getting those 3 pour overs out. Another noticeable difference is its startup time, with the Pro being a lot faster. It actually goes from room temperature to boiling over 30 seconds faster than the Smart kettle. Now, by having a faster startup time, what it also means is both these have a hold function. So when you lift it up to pour, as you're pouring, you are getting a slight loss in temperature because you're not heating up the water. As soon as you put it back into the base, it heats it up back to its set point. By being a faster unit, it gets you back to that set point quicker, and it means that overall you have a lot more stability of temperature as you pour your pour overs. Moving on to the base of the unit, that's another area that's super familiar, yet actually quite improved. At first glance, everything remains the same. The controls are in the same position, and the display is showing the same things: your current temperature and your desired temperature. On the left, you got a button that instant boil, so by tapping on it, it changes the temperature to 100 and the kettle goes as fast as possible to 100. And then you got the pad here that by swiping left and right goes up and down in temperature. Now on the new unit, that's where it's slightly different. It's a little more sensitive, so it swipes up and down a little easier, but you can also tap on the left or tap on the right. Left obviously bringing the temperature down and right bringing the temperature up. And this area is controversial. When this kettle first came out, people said they really preferred the dial to turn like the fellow kettle had. But to me, I've never really understood this because I've been brought up everything is a touchscreen. My iPhone's a touchscreen, I jump in my car, the whole thing's a touchscreen. I go home, even my lighting's controlled on screens. So for me, the kind of touchscreen or touch is quite native and I really do prefer it. But I do understand some people still wanting to turn knobs. So I guess that's more of a personal preference than either a feature or a negative. In saying that, it is a lot more sensitive now and a lot easier to control. So I do feel a big improvement from the original pad to the new pad. And for that, I really like it. So one of the uniquely Timemore features that has remained is the anti-boil dry feature, which is kind of cool. If you have these kettles without any water and you start them up, they don't boil dry. It's a safety feature and it's quite nice and one that's pretty much only found on Timemore. And I'm glad they've retained that feature. So in the super quick summary of this kettle, it now comes in left and right-handed kettle to really increase control for that professional barista. 900 ml capacity so you can run it at a comp level to do 3 pour overs. The pour over speed has increased, so it's more about you controlling it. In terms of the functionality, it remains the same. You got that whole functionality where it goes back to that set temperature every time you put it back in the base. You got that instant boil if you just want to one button and bring it to that boil temperature. And the trackpad here and the ability to go up and down has been significantly improved. And it's retained the anti-boil dry functionality. So that's kind of the quick summary on the Pro. My question to you is, which of these two kettles would you buy? The Smart or the Smart Pro? Let me know in the comments below. And like always, if this video has brought you value, hit that thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Thank you and see you on the next video.